Washington, a Radio 1 station, unity through music, and worldwide at myspiritdc.com.
The views and opinions of the following paid programming show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Spirit 1340 WYCB, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Welcome to the Think on These Things radio talk show. This is a show where we talk about those things that are praiseworthy. We talk about good health. We talk about politics. Now, for today's show, your host, Linda Grant.
Well, good evening, Washington. So good to be here with you all today. It has been cold outside, not too bad today. I had to turn my heat down in the car and roll the windows down. It was a little warm because we've been freezing out there. So I guess when it get in the 30s, that felt like we're having some summer breeze. But we have a wonderful show for you today. I have in my studio a young lady. Her name is Vernai Danzler. She's an attorney. And I'm going to tell you all about her. I want you to gather your young people around today because she is a whiz at financial literacy. And what you learn from her can make a difference in the rest of your life. Her organization is called FLOW, Financial Literacy Organization for Women and Girls. And I just want you to know she used to work for Wall Street, and she has done so much finances for the District of Columbia. And she's written a book called Are You Sitting Pretty or Are You a Sitting Duck? Now, that's not exactly how it is, but that's how I like to say it so you can know. It's called Sitting Pretty or Sitting Duck. And I like to say, are you sitting pretty or are you a sitting duck? Okay, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. I'm going to go right now, though, to a word from our sponsor. Back in a moment.
I'm Latrice, the receptionist at the malpractice law firm Jack Olander & Associates. I answer the phone when you call 202-879-7777. Our experienced malpractice trial lawyers, Jack Olander, Harlow Case, Sandra Robinson, and Melissa Ray, are assisted by Dr. Robert Chabon, our of-counsel pediatrician and lawyer, and by our in-house nurse attorney consultant, Leslie Zork, who was a labor and delivery nurse for 10 years. Since Jack Olander won the first multi-million-dollar cerebral palsy case in the country, we concentrate on cerebral palsy and other major injury malpractice cases. You can reach us at 202-879-7777 or jhopc@olander.com. We'll look forward to your call.
And we're back. I just want to let you all know how grateful I am for Attorney Jack Olander sponsoring this show for the second year. And I want to just share with you, I think I mentioned it, but I want to say it again. AmeriHealth is sponsoring this show for the entire year. They're going to help me pay the show off, and we can focus on quality programming because we won't be having to look for how to pay for the show every week. So I am so thankful for AmeriHealth, and you'll be hearing their commercials today. But they're also going to be sponsoring health shows. They have assigned someone from AmeriHealth staff that's going to work with me, and we're going to put together health shows throughout the year. And they're going to also co-sponsor my health fair that's coming up in June, which is the second anniversary of the Think on These Things show. So I just like to take time to make sure you all know how grateful I am for my sponsors, AmeriHealth. You'll be hearing from them soon. All right, now on for today's show. I have Attorney Vernai Danzler here in the studio. Vernai, how are you?
Good afternoon, Linda. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here. I work with Vernai on her summit. She has some events several times a year, and she calls them financial literacy summits. And she has committed the rest of her life for her nonprofit to teach women and girls how to be financially literate. Talk about the future status of women and some of the things that have gone on, and tell us what you have. Tell us your take on this.
Thank you, Linda. What we found is that women are struggling. 41% of women are either poor, almost poor, or living from payday to payday. And I established Flow in response to the economic crisis because I found that women by large numbers got caught up in the crisis because they lacked financial knowledge. And the goal of Flow is to strengthen the financial security for all women and girls. And we act as a future voice for women and girls. There's a lot of decisions that they're making today that can have a negative impact on their financial well-being tomorrow. So I wanted to talk about 3 points. This is the first segment in a series that we're putting together. I'm calling them Womenars. There'll be some webinars, seminars, and some workshops. But our focus is to provide all the information that we can to women and girls so that they can get focused and have their best financial year for 2014. The first thing I wanted to bring out is that for the most part, women are going to grow to be old, alone, sick, and if they don't protect themselves, broke. Now, as far as old, if we live to be 65, we'll probably make it to 85. Because women are nurturers and caregivers and almost always think of themselves last, we can blink and we're 50 years old, and then when we start focusing, we see, oh my gosh, I am so far behind the eight ball, and they're scrambling. We'll be alone.
That's right.
We'll be alone. 80% of us will either be unmarried, widowed, or divorced. That's just the stats. And even if we have a husband today, there's a good likelihood that we will outlive him. Women are outliving men about 7 years. And so we're going to spend a period of time by ourselves. And we need to be able to be financially competent.
And we heard in the State of the Union with the president that women on average only make 70 cents out of the $1 compared to men. So we truly have to think smart and so that we can make it. And then how many in the African American community in particular are single family households raising children.
That is so true, Lindy. It's so, so true. And about 70% of us are going to be sick. We're going to either suffer from a physical or cognitive disability, according to the Centers for Disease Control. So there's a good likelihood we're going to be old, a good likelihood we're going to be alone, there's a good likelihood that we're going to suffer some sort of disability, and we just don't want to be broke on top of that. There are reports out that 41% of women have almost no savings between the ages of 44 and 64, and that's the boomer generation. Again, if we don't get focused and start putting together some sort of financial plan for ourselves, we will be very dependent and self-reliant on third parties, whether it's the government or some sort of assistance.
And for people who've worked all their lives, like myself, I can tell you, I was in a seminar today, and the young lady was talking to some students and said that on average we normally would work 42 years. And so she was trying to encourage the students so that they can realize that once they get out of high school and once they get out of college, they still got a plan to work for 42 years. And so while she was talking, I kind of added it up because I started when I was 19. I said, poor me, I've already worked 43 years and still going. No telling when I might stop. So I'm just letting you know, it's some of us out here pulling overtime, and we haven't gotten where we needed to be because we didn't have this financial knowledge. And I was talking to Vernai before we started, you all. How can someone tell you what they don't know? We come from slavery background, and so many of y'all think you passed that. You think because you're making $60, $70, $80, $100,000 a year. You don't want to talk about or think about slavery. But let me just say that it has an impact on us. Because we, even if you were what they call house niggas, it don't matter. You still were not learning everything you needed to know so that you can pass it on down to the people in your family. Look at the people who were the field niggas, and I can say that because I paid for this show, and all I'm talking about is what's in here in there. What is it that they can teach their children? So when I did my job training program in D.C. with the Department of Employment Service in D.C., so many of those students had been on public assistance. They said their grandmothers had been on it, their mothers had been on it. And when I was trying to teach them another way, they couldn't believe it. When I was teaching them the motivational class and the steps, and it took some time, but they finally got on the right track. So I'm just saying this to segue to you all. I'm trying to shock you and make you listen. I hope you are hearing what I'm having to say, because what Vernai is talking about is so important. If you can get somebody to tell you the difference, that putting away $20 out of every paycheck instead of wasting it just getting your nails done or wasting it just getting your hair done, and put that money away and forget it's there and don't touch it. Vernai, help me with that.
Okay.
Tell them what can happen.
That's exactly true. Cuteness has about a 10-year lifespan. That's it. So I know that we put a lot of time and energy trying to keep up and maintain, but beauty is only skin deep. The real tools for success is being money savvy. It is so important to understand your money. A lot of us do a lot of crazy things with our money that jeopardize our financial future. One thing that we do as women, we buy love. And mothers buy love, grandmothers buy love. And what I mean by that is that we put a lot of money into our children. I love children, I have children, trying to please them. I grew up and it was a reverse where we did everything that we could to try to please our parents and try to please our grandparents. But today, there's a reversal where being older somehow is not as prominent or important as it was earlier. And so there's a big focus on youth and beauty, on all the wrong things. Because as I said, that beauty is fleeting. It's fleeting. If you're 18, you're cute. 30, you're cute, but when you start getting 40, 50, 60, you're beautiful, you're mature, and you are more dependent upon your wisdom than you are trying to make it with your looks. And I'm not knocking that. What I'm just trying to focus on is that we need to embrace who we are as women and focus on the things that are going to get us through to the end of the day.
Amen, amen. I want to interject right here. Because of my background, my mother and father are gone now, but they were sharecroppers, farmers. I'm doing something totally different from what they were able to teach me. But we can do that if we learn for ourselves. But a lady that became a mentor of mine, Dr. Marjorie Harris, was the president of a historically black college in Michigan. And I would go up there and do fundraising events for her college and became like a daughter to her. And Vernai, I'm telling you, some of the things she taught me is what you're talking about. When I was trying to figure out what to give my grandchildren for Christmas, she told me, don't give them gifts, buy them bonds.
Yes.
Save. She said, now that my grandchildren are getting ready to graduate from high school, I'm turning in the bonds and giving them this money. And she talked about how much money it's worth because she bought bonds over all the years. She told me don't buy gifts.
And because Lindia, they're dead assets.
Yes.
And that's what we try to teach our women girls, the difference between assets and liabilities. Assets bring money in, liabilities take money out of your pocket. And buying dead assets, we're, as a group, we're very commercial, and we purchase things that do not make money. They cost us money. And so as a result, we're spending. We're big spenders. And I understand why, because previous administrations have encouraged us to spend to boost the economy, and so we have this spending mindset. So now what we have to do is turn that all the way around and focus on saving. On an average, we spend $1.10 for every dollar that we have. Okay, and we're not saving. The average woman has less than $10,000 in savings, and I'm saying women who are 50 and 60 years old, less than $10,000 in savings.
Isn't that something?
And to retire comfortably, because as you pointed out a little earlier, as far as we make 77 cents to each dollar that a man makes, but not only that, but we're out of the workforce because we're having children, taking care of our children, and in many instances, depending on your age, and if you are a boomer, you're assisting your parents, and so we also end up assisting our mates, our spouses. So we have substantially less in our Social Security built up than a man does. A man works some 43 years, and he has a nice, comfy little retirement for the most part. But women are short because they're out of the workforce, in aggregate, I think, of about 16 years.
Vernai, we're going to come back in a moment. I'm going to hear from Mary Health, one of our sponsors, and then we're going to talk some more about women and girls saving money. We're here with Vernai Danzler, the author of Are You Sitting Pretty or Are You a Sitting Duck? Back in a moment.